let's go ahead and get started. You got a lot of questions, I'm sure, and I'd like to get to some of the questions tonight if I can keep up with them. But let me introduce who I am, because a lot of people are asking, a lot of people are speculating. My name is Ernie Evans, and I am just like you. I started watching the Whittakers back when Mark had him on Soft White Underbelly, and became very just intrigued and entrenched in watching. And when a new episode would come out, which wasn't very often, we didn't really get to know a whole lot about the family during his stuff, but he did an excellent job. I thought that he brought something to the forefront that needed a lot of attention, and he did that. So I started watching, and then things kind of went sour, and it might sound familiar. Some things happened and bad luck, and all of a sudden that's all over. And then there was another person involved that didn't last very long. And then what started happening was these things started coming across my feed about the Whittakers, and I'm watching Timmy, and I'm watching this guy who I didn't know who he was, but he was funny, had a southern draw, and he was out there doing stuff with him. So all of a sudden I'm seeing Timmy laughing and joking around, leaving the house, fishing, zip lining, and doing stuff. I'm going, what in the world's going on? And it was just a very humorous thing. So I started laughing and really enjoying it. But I noticed that every time they'd go somewhere in the truck, Patrick would be playing some bluegrass music. Well, you won't meet a bigger bluegrass fan than me. So that's how I got interested. I contacted Patrick, and I wanted to know what his connection to bluegrass was. And I would watch how Timmy moved. And there's not a whole lot I can do for people to help them out, but I really wanted to help in this situation. And we talked about what can be done. I'm a promoter and a producer of music. That's what I do. I'm not a caseworker. I'm not an expert. I'm nobody really. I mean, I'm chasing a dream that I have a full-time job. I'm very busy doing what I do, but I was very moved with how this family had transformed. And if you look at the old videos to the new videos, and you see them smiling, you see them dressing up, you see them getting their hair cut, new outfits, toenails painted. I mean, there was just a lot going on. I'm going, wow, I've never seen anybody do anything or approach the Whittakers, and specifically, I'd never seen them approach it that way. It was almost like, and let me just be real and honest with you guys tonight. There's no reason to fake anything and to try to act about anything. So let's just be honest with each other. I think most of you have been pretty honest with me. Sadly, it's not all been really good stuff, but we'll get into that. I promise you'll have a chance to do that. But anyway, what really was touching me was that I seen this family, and if you're new to what's going on with this, I'm not sure how much you know about what's happening. You may have just tuned into this thing. You'll have to go back and check it out. I don't want to go backwards on that. I want to go forward on this. There's been several people through there, but one thing Patrick did was he introduced humor without making fun of them, without exploiting them. And all of a sudden, this was like really fun to watch, and to watch these guys having a good time, especially Timmy. And Timmy was a rock star. I mean, I'm telling you, he became a rock star. And so I got in touch with Patrick. We talked, and I said, how can we connect bluegrass to help this family? Music is healing. It has been for me. I've been involved with bluegrass music for 60 years. And no, not 60, I'm sorry, 50 years. And I'll be 65 years old. And I was about 12 years old. So that's close enough. Here was a family in need, dealt a bad hand from birth. I mean, we don't need to get into those details, but dealt a bad hand from birth. And they needed help. And I wanted to help. And I'm going to talk about some things tonight that we've been working on behind the scenes that you don't know. I do want to start saying, and this is a great time for me to interject right now and tell you the reason I'm on here tonight and Patrick is not, is because there's too many distractions right now between Patrick and Eric. Now, if you're new tuning in, you're just going to have to get caught up on this. I'll do my best to inform everybody on what's happened there. These guys Patrick brought Eric in. Eric's probably more the entrepreneur type person, and they were a team. They were working. And let me first say they did some wonderful things together. They both did. They both worked hard. They did some things that would have never happened had they not come in the picture. It would have took a very unique person to pull off what they did. I don't know if that was all by design. I don't know. I don't care. I know some folks out there have picked sides like this is college football. This is too serious for that, okay? So for tonight, you want to put in some kind comments, it's very welcome. You want to put some helpful comments in, that's most needed. But if you want to put some hurtful comments in there, probably shouldn't be watching this, because I'm not going to address those like that way. I will remind you that the most important thing here is Ray, Lorraine, and Timmy right now. And then the entire family comes next, the whole family. We'll talk about that too. I know there's opinions there too, but this is not about Patrick and Eric. So we're going to go through that part really quick, and we're going to put that aside, and we're not going to go back to it, hopefully. So please don't try to drag me back. I'm a weak guy, and if I've got to defend somebody, I probably will. But they did some wonderful things. So let's first of all commend them for that. And if you like one and not the other, we've all got to agree that they had a really good thing going. Sometimes the chemistry between two people don't work. I've met Patrick, I've never met Eric before, but I've met Patrick. And I know where his heart's at. I know that Patrick is not an entrepreneur. He is not a business person. He's not a CEO type. And that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. CEO type may not go into the Whittakers' home, sit on a couch and hug them and take them out and do things and spend the time that he did on there. So if you're looking for a Wall Street type person, it wasn't going to happen. And Patrick is one of them. They're very comfortable. They love Patrick. It doesn't matter what I think. They love him. They trust him. I can't walk into the Whittakers' home to help them because, well, what would they think? Here comes another person that, now who's this? Now what's going to happen? How's this going to end up? And there's not time for that. Now we're in a pretty serious and critical situation, which I promise we're going to get to all that stuff. But I do want to get through this and get this behind us. So I have some people that have written to me on the side, said, you better watch your back with Patrick, you better watch out. And again, I got to apologize constantly to all the new people who have just come on to here because they don't know about all this drama stuff. It ain't worth it, folks. If you're new to this, we're going to get to helping some people and find out why and what needs to be done and what we've been doing. And we'll get you up to speed on that. But for those of you that have been following it and have chosen a side or build a wall up between it or have a bone to pick with both of them, let them work that out. It's not a good situation with them right now. And that's okay. That happens every single day. There's nobody on this thread that hasn't had a beef with somebody. There is nobody on this thread that's got a perfect life. And there is nobody on this thread that goes to work and doesn't charge their boss. I know that if we're going to help the Whittakers, we need Patrick in there. They trust him. It's almost like a translator. I mean, I first met Timmy on FaceTime, and I would say something to him, and Timmy would look at me like he didn't understand what I was saying. Patrick would repeat back the same thing, and Timmy would get it, and he would respond to it. So they trust him. They need him. He wants to help. And if you think that somebody's such a bad person, and again, I'm not telling you he's a saint. I'm not perfect either. We'll get that out right now. But if you think somebody is a bad person, wouldn't you want that person, if you could recreate that person and to get that person to turn out the way you want them, wouldn't you want that person helping somebody and doing something good in the community and helping them out? Because that's what he's doing right now. We will talk about money too, because that was another concern, because I know that's going to come up. And we're going to talk about that. So let's get off this now. I'm going to stop with that. We may bring those names up again when we start talking about monetization, because that's a big one. So let's get past that. I want to tell you that as far as Eric is concerned, I don't know Eric. I'm not going to cast judgment. I've watched all his videos. I've watched everything he's had to say. And out of everything, and I do it, and listen, I don't want to sound insincere with the folks out there that have tried to warn me and do that kind of stuff about this one and that one. I'm not calling you a bad person. I don't have an issue with you. You're just trying to help me and guide me in the right direction. You see somebody coming in that may look like fresh meat and that might be a little bit on the naive side, and sometimes I am, just ask my wife. But I've researched this pretty good. I may not stay involved with this. I'm only committed right now to help get the Whittakers to come home right now. That's the number one priority. It's too serious right now to get into other, and I don't even want to do that. There's been no discussions about money. There's been none, zero. But there has been many comments about people that are so worried about me making money. God, folks, you need some new friends, man. There are people out there that will help. I mean, there will. I've talked to probably 20 or 30 people last night. Their heart was ripped out to see Betty laying on that couch, missing these guys. They only know one life. And these people feel that, while others are worried about what another guy is going to get. As far as I'm concerned, from what I do know, and I did some research on some of the finances. I don't have totals for you. And I know it's a new thing and it's growing. And is it good? Heck yeah. I mean, if you're Joe Rogan, I don't think he's worried about where his next meal's coming from. The internet's been very good to people. But I do know that the Whittakers are in this thing with an even cut. Now, is that being divvied out that way? I don't know. Eric controls the money. Don't know. You're going to have to ask him. I don't want to know. I want to be able to look you in the eye and just say, I don't know. And at this point, I don't know. So I'm only here to help get the family back together. I'm not here to guarantee that. And I'm not an expert. I can tell you that we've been working behind the scenes, putting a team of people together to help guide us so we can put the right plan together. We have had a meeting with the state. We're very optimistic about it. I'll have more details for you on that. And again, I've just got to go chronologically in this order so we can get through some of these things that are concerns for people. So I hope I get your attention and that we don't have this negative vibe going on, because I really like to just shed that thing and get rid of it and be more focused and concerned. I'm still seeing some mad faces. You know what? You guys probably need to find another place to go. I'm sure there's some video game or something like that down there where people are competing, or somebody that wants to fight, because you're not going to get that here. That's one of the reasons Patrick's not here. People get on here, start aggravating him and doing that kind of thing. You're not going to get a fight here. So don't worry about it. If you're worried about me making money, you don't have to believe me. I don't care. I can tell you this. If we get the Whittakers home, then we've accomplished my goal. And I'm done at that point. But If I think I can help and I'm asked to help and there's some money in it for me that's going to help the Whittakers, I can't give my day job up. And you put those mad faces up there. If you will, do me a big favor, because I'll get past that issue too. Why don't you put in there, if you go to work every day and you don't charge your boss and your boss don't make any money. I'd like to know who you are, because I like to know what your secret is and how you're surviving, because I'd rather not go to work. I'd rather stay here. I'm in Florida right now. It gets cold in the winter up there. I'd rather stay down here, but there's people that need some help. So we're going to stay focused on that. So be mad all you want. But you're invited into the broadcast if you are, anytime you want. Anytime we do a live, Patrick will be returning to these. But I was hoping that we could keep that separate right now. I know that they've worked really hard on a stream. They worked out a deal that's under contract that will have to get resolved. I mean, it did melt down and dissolve, but they're going to have to resolve those issues. But it looked pretty fair to me. As a matter of fact, it was equal across. Nobody was getting more than the other person. And so it looked like they'd handled that pretty good. So, but you know what? My name wasn't on it. You deserve to make a living. So does Patrick. So does Eric. And so do the Whittakers. Nobody deserves to take someone's away from them, though. And I won't be a part of something and would not be a part of something if somebody was getting hosed in this deal. I just wouldn't do it. I have my reputation to protect too. And, you know, if people that know me, when I see a little mad face go up, I'm seeing a bunch of hearts and stuff go up. I love you guys. I mean, you guys have the right frame of mind for what this is about. It's not about me or that stuff. I just got to get people that, I don't understand why they come on there to do that kind of stuff. But if you hate somebody, man, there's so much more to life to live, but we got to get this family back together. So I'm gonna get off me for a minute, because that's all. I'm a nobody. I love music. I'm a producer. I'm a good organizer. I'm an honest person. I pay my taxes. I do my best to be as good as I can. And that's all I can do. And that's all I can say. So I'm nobody special, but the people that are special are not with us right now. And they're sort of been taken away and they're in custody of the state right now. Okay. So I made some notes. I'm sorry. There's some things I just didn't want to leave out. All right, next concern, BJ. And I'm going down the list of what I've been asked. I want to let folks know about that. We all have our opinions there. We all do. We all probably have a relative too that's a lot like that. Or we know somebody, we have a friend that's got a relative or a child that's like that. Or we have a friend that's like that, either way, that has that same situation. And everybody's saying, man, you got to help them get into a house and out of the, this is them being kind. I'm not throwing jabs at anybody that has a problem with BJ. She did that to herself. But this is a family. This is about the Whittakers. Everybody knows somebody that's in a bad relationship, whether it's a child or a cousin or a nephew, niece, whatever, or if it's a spouse, and they won't leave. And the whole world thinks they know what's best for that person. And they do for all practical purposes. But until that person feels that that's the best thing for them, there's no way to, I can't do that. I can't go in there and tell Larry he can't go into a house where his family's at. And I can't tell BJ she can't go into a house where her dad's at. And I'm not going to go down and get a protective order. That's for the Whittakers to do. That is their business. They've been through that. I feel that was the downfall with Eric. It seemed like that was the turning point, and it was done. All the good things that they had done together, Patrick and Eric, was over at that point. I don't want to be responsible for. I don't want to see that happen. If BJ comes over, I don't want to see her abusing anybody either, like she's been accused of. I wasn't there. You weren't there. But, I was trying to think about what am I going to say, because if someone's made their mind up that they just don't like her, I can just tell you that family is deep rooted in each other. And when you have a relative, it's a lot different than somebody you know. When somebody's related to you, you have the tendency to be a little more forgiving about things. And no matter how bad it gets, no matter what they do, that in time you'll forgive them because you love them. And it's unconditional. And in the Whittakers case, think about how small and isolated that world is. At one time it was just them. 5 people sitting on a porch staring at the floor. And that's what it used to be. And when Mark started coming around, there was a little money involved, that kind of thing. They got a couple of visitors, that type of thing. And you folks, out of the kindness of your heart and your donations and supporting these guys, have made life a little more enjoyable. They've gotten some things like I see Ray watching that big old flat screen TV. He's got some mileage out of that thing. And so that was a really good thing. And we have some things that, sadly, that I'm going to be delivering some things for them on Friday that are going to be some more. I don't want to give maybe on the next broadcast, we'll go over those things, but there's some very thought out things in there. But out of the kindness of your heart, giving those things, you are their world right now. You may never meet them. It may be something that shows up in the mail, but they know that came from somebody kind and each other. And I'm still talking about BJ here. And she's part of that small world. They don't want the rest of the world in there. They don't mind the internet thing. They're okay with that. There is a monetary reward there for them, and they know that. But it's a very small world they live in. And when you take a relative out of that, it's a pretty big piece of it.